Yeah, but so the loss wasn't more because it was much. Why are there still so many people in the industry? I mean, so many people are still. Again, I'm just trying to think
Yes.
about the magic that
Well,
sustains them.
like I said, Nigerians are resilient. Originally, when we had that total loss, okay, let me give you the evolution, how it
Yeah.
evolved. Before, when you want to release a movie, if we had like say 100 movies released on a particular date of release, only about five will not perform. Only about five. 95 will perform. And when I mean perform, the producers will make so much money that the banks were running after them. They were the most sought out after, when you talk about commercials. I don't know about oil, but take oil, take maybe airline business away. It was the film industry. It was the new oil for Nigeria. But at a point when the market went a little bit down, it reversed. The trend reversed. It was more like an examination that 100 people will now take. Only five will pass. 95 will fail. So the return on investment became so low, so poor. Many of us diverted, moved from our this film business to other businesses. If I should start mentioning name, if I say someone like OJ Production, where is he today? He left the film business to become a hotelier. Are you getting it? OJ Fashion became what is it called? What is it called? A furniture importer, and then invested more in his music business than the film business. Kushore I know, had to go back to his village to take a chieftaincy title and got more involved with chieftaincy things in his place and all whatnot. These were people who were full-time producers before in the country. I don't want to talk about those that relocated that had to leave the country. I can mention Enemy Song, a number of them, many of them. You know, so that was where we found ourselves then. But Nigerians being what they are, some of them, those ones in Alaba then that were really distributing, most of them went into importation of phone accessories and different kind of businesses. They left the film industry. Some also built hotels and then shifted, base. But Nigerians being whom they are, discovered the YouTube, the online streaming thing, the YouTube thing, and then they invested into it. And also got in there, started doing well on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, and everything. And most of them started earning income. And then, every day people are, but why you can't rely, why I think that is not sustainable is someday Google might decide to change its policy and then or bring up an unfavorable policy, which has started happening. Originally, the moment you get into YouTube, you can monetize. By the time you now get up to 1,000 subscribers, you begin to earn revenue. But today it is not the same. You must have to earn a particular number of subscribers and viewership before you can monetize. Gradually it is changing. Who knows where we'll be next tomorrow? So nothing would have been as good as when we had our indigenous distribution. Nothing would have been as good as that.
That's true. I was wondering how you survived all this. So did you venture into other businesses to, in order to survive?
Of course, I did. When I saw the industry, in fact, at that point in time when I really didn't succeed with my efforts to dissuade my colleagues from selling to broker stations at what that rate, okay, let me say without a collective bargain, I had to invest. I had to invest. And I can't say I'm better off for it. It was a wise decision. I'm not regretting it. But today again, entertainment industry is a business that once you are into, you will find it difficult to live. There is something it gives to you that
Hmm.
no other business can give it to you. Not even politics.
But I would say would you disclose that thing? Is it a kind of satisfaction?
It is
Is
not
is it
job.
not monetary?
It is
Is
not
it
job.
monetary
It is
or
not job satisfaction. It is also not monetary. It is not self-actualization. It is a kind of connection, a kind of influence. Let me not say influence. Let me say connection. The doors that will open for you are doors that ordinarily will not open for a normal person. Let me say a quote from our former president, President Goodluck Jonathan. He said to you, the entertainers, if we leave the shores of this country and we knock on a door, they will first open for you before they will open for me, the president. Are you getting it? So it is something, it is a kind of global impact, connection that the film business gives to you that nothing again will ever give it to you. Okay, let me even say, the legal profession that I've been into has really not attracted any manner of influence for me. But it was the entertainment industry that, at a point, so much connected me to the center in Nigeria here. Then outside the center, the USA War College, and they visited me. They gave me that one, the tail of that plane, and then I have a lot of their medals at home. They visited me severally, and I have hosted them here in Nigeria. No other profession would have been able to do that much for me. And where do I start? He has really done a whole lot.
So
And not
what was the connection between your work that attracted interest of the U.S. War College?
well, maybe my work first connected me to the
Yeah.
commercial service here.
So,
Then the commercial service now connected them to me. I think that was the link, yes.
yeah.
The US commercial service here, yes.
Because again, there is something that I mean that again, you are so versatile in your discussion. You're so knowledgeable about the industry. Were you into the politics of Nollywood in any way?
Yes, of course, I have to be at a point. I've really spent a lot of years in the industry. If you count 1996 to date,
Yeah.
you will see how many years I've put in. And at a point, I became the spokesperson for the then most powerful organ of the industry or association of the that's Film Video Producers and Marketers Association.
Okay.
You know, and at that point in time, that I was almost like the national leader. They had all they exerted all the powers, all the superior powers in the industry. So would I say at a point I was almost like one of the number one person. So that actually prone me to too much negotiations and politics of the industry. Then in the days of coalition of Nollywood Guilds and Association, Bond was the chairperson. Can I even remember the position I held? But I knew I was I was very strong in the coalition, and I actually supported and helped a whole lot in actualizing most of the things we actualized then. You know, there was a place I was writing in one forum where I was writing something, and I said at that point in time, with the coalition of Nollywood Youth and Association, we succeeded in reducing the relationship between the industry and government to an MOU. We also was able to have an inter-guild MOU that actually helped us to punish people when they because it's all the guilds coming to say one thing, you know. So we are able to design that, and it was we implemented it. Um, we were also able to stop Ghanaians. Sorry, I have to say it. We are not ordinarily supposed to interfere with the free trade ECOWAS agreement, but there came a time. One morning we woke up. I wasn't in power in Nollywood then. I think I was really more absorbed with my studies, you know. But it came to my knowledge that Ghanaians woke up one day and said they're banning Nigerian movies from coming into
I
Ghana.
remember that time.
And then Mujio Banikoro was the ambassador to Nigerian ambassador to Ghana,
Ghana.
or envoy to Ghana. So he actually took some of the entertainers to Ghana to go and plead to them to ban Nigerian movies. And I learned the drama they demonstrated. They bought a Ghana must go bag and placed it under their table. When the delegation from Nigeria came, they brought out the bag and saying, "Your country, what do you call this bag?" They say Ghana must go. They say Nigeria must go. I felt so sad seeing us with over 200 million population begging Ghana of 15 million population to have a bilateral trade arrangements. So immediately we came into power. I wasted no time in solving that problem.
How did you solve it?
I quickly prohibited the distribution. Unfortunately, then Ghanaian films were trying to dominate our own movies there because Nigerian producers will go over there, buy a master for 400,000 naira, come to Nigeria here, release it, and then make a whole lot of money. So they were actually deriving. I had to prohibit the distribution of Ghana movie in Nigeria. I had to remove all of them from the Nigerian market. In fact, the Ghanaian delegation, they came with their journalists to Nigeria. So I had to bring other guilds and we sat with them too. So we told them, when we came to your country, how did you treat our people? Recall. You don't want the bilateral trade arrangement. So stay with your 50 million population. Let us stay with our 200 million population. You know? So that was what practically happened. So we were able to do it. And some of the artists were already making headway and working here comfortable.
Yeah.
So we had to stop them. Sometimes we feel pity, the human emotion, you know, for them when we get to their set and then try to prevent them from working and everything. But we just have to do it too.
In international diplomacy, personal interest is best interest. Yeah. That's So this is a very, very interesting conversation. So now, from what you were saying, I mean, the economic power of the industry is very huge
Yes.
if well utilized.
Okay.
Um, Now, but what of the other influences? Do you think um, the industry? Do you think that is helping in changing ideas, changing minds, or changing society, or kind of steering the Nigerian society in a positive way?
Yes, I will say yes to that, without equivocation. I will say yes. It actually changed a whole lot on perception. It actually had doctored behavior. Of course, we know the impact of movie, film, what people watch, to their mentality. From there, a lot of people have come to know things that are evil and what to avoid and what not to avoid things that happen in the society and how to be wary of all of that. But the only thing I might not be able to say yes to is if you ask me if culture on its own part has reciprocated what the film industry is giving back to it. I would say no. Or maybe if the Nigerian society may have reciprocated that, and I will give you reasons. One,
Yeah.
if you check all the film jurisdictions, Nigerian filmmakers are the least when you talk about government grants. Yes, I can see foreign donors coming to give, but when people are not used to something, Nigerians are really not used to grant because they've not been receiving, such intervention. So that's on one part. Then the what I'm also not comfortable with is the attitude of government in putting up regulations in Nigeria. Let me give you an instance. National Film and Video Censors Board ordinarily, even if at the time the Nigerian 1999 constitution was made, that people were really not so knowledgeable about what film or what entertainment will hold. At this point now, having known what it is, the issue of classification and censorship
Yeah.
ought to have been taken into exclusive legislative list.
List.
If not for the fight put up by some of us, it means that before you'll be able to put out content in Nigeria, you have to go across the 36 states to
Hmm.
censor. Then you censor with federal government and all. Yes, because they placed it on the concurrent list, and all the states were busy drawing up their own state censorship and classification boards,
But
and then making it compulsory that particularly Lagos and Kano, that you must come there to censor. Then Delta State wanted to tell their own. I must say no. That will be putting filmmakers under unnecessary, and double taxation in that instance because they will be paying money to
paying
go
for
through all of
this, so the burden will be too much.
Unfortunately, the federal before we could push for a court decision on that, had to do an MOU with Lagos State, and I also think they did with Kano. But you can imagine what that will have to do on censorship. That means a Nigerian movie produced in Nigeria cannot freely be viewed in some territories within the Nigerian society too, which is also not good.
So might that have to do with the differences in culture?
Culture
Because
and
there are stark
culture
differences
and religious
and
beliefs, yes.
religious, yeah. But don't you think that would prevent, eruption of conflicts and reactions because of things that violate some their religious or ethical values?
Yeah, of course, yes, but I'm actually thinking what would have solved that problem would have just been ordinary classification from the federal agency and not subjecting it to censorship in Kano, for instance. Are you getting what I'm saying? So, an ordinary classification to say this film is classified so and so. So, if you have so and so religious belief, this is not for you. Because let's be very fair to ourselves. The human beings, to change culture, you have to first change the human being first. What if at the end of the day you prevented the movie from coming to maybe the Muslim dominant territories, for instance, and the man you're talking about comes to Lagos and then purchasing the movie in numbers, hides it in his bag and gets into his bedroom to watch? Have you changed him? And you've not changed him. They are still that liberty. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have ordinarily been the best. That's my own opinion. And away from the issue of censorship too, trying the way they try to, have a multiple censorship boards that were successful. They've not stopped to because up to today, Lagos State sometimes will still come up with it Then
Hmm.
when we make our little noise, they go down again, and only God knows what will happen tomorrow. You know, so
Well,
that
maybe politicians who are exploiting the situation. I mean, politics is
yeah,
always
yeah,
that way.
that alone too. I'm also happy now that even the so-called censorship board is now saying that they want to be called classification board, as in they want to remove the issue of censorship because it's also not contemporary, it's also not modern. It's more like a language that interferes with fundamental rights. You
Yeah,
know, when you say you're
your
censoring,
sense. Yeah,
you're 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 actually trying to inhibit the freedom of
yeah. It
expression.
has negative connotation.
Freedom of expression, yes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so that's one part. But more so, aside it, I don't also think there's any other thing. Our cultural values are well projected, highly projected, but there was one thing we are told those days in the script writing class. They say when writing a film, you don't write. There's one language you write to entertain.
Yeah.
You don't write to the important thing.
Educate.
The important thing there is entertainment. The important underlying word there is entertainment. So, but in all, except when you leave the shores of Nigeria to other African countries, you won't understand what our movies, the impact of our movies
Hmm.
may have made there. It portrayed Nigeria as a very great nation. In fact, if you get the other day we got into Malawi, they were calling us by different Nigerian names, to show how much the movie may have impacted on them. Although some of the descriptions might not really not look so positive,
Yeah.
but
But
you know,
it was obvious that the influence is there.
the
Yeah, I
domination, yes, the
remember
domination.
traveling to one city in Canada on a bus. That was years back. And when I think one particular individual in the car realized that I think I spoke, and through my intonation, she asked, "Are you Nigerian?" I said, "Yes." Oh my God. She started talking about Nigerian movies, and we chatted and conversed until I got there. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really, I mean, Nigerian movies are known in Jamaica. A lot of people,
Latin American
they
countries
sell
and
them in
island, big
Jamaica
islands.
among African Americans. And well, I teach, it's part of what I teach actually. And I remember a conference we had sometimes in Pennsylvania that I had to, import some of Tunde Kilani's
Work,
Thunderbolts,
yeah, Thunderbolts.
we used it in that conference. Um, the I mean, the last question I want to ask is, because from our discussion I'm so impressed, your versatility, your knowledge about the politics, I mean the function. So here is what I'm want to ask you: do you think Nigerian movies do enough in terms of the representation of the disabled, disabilities? Because there's a lot of ignorance,
People
on the
with
part of, and then of course, gender equality.
okay. Well, I would just give a pass mark to the movie industry on that because if you observe keenly, you would realize that there's actually no other business that may have engaged people with disability than the movie industry. We have some artists who move on, who are one legged. There was even a time, the dwarfs were having a field day, making all their money. Most of them grew up. I remember one was under me, Victor. Victor, I'm trying to recall his surname. He eventually went to study theater somewhere in the West, one of the federal universities. It was with me when he got that admission, and I encouraged him to go. I think he's now presenting for Wazobia, a program at Wazobia, and then I also seen feature in movies. A great actor too. Yomi, Olalewe, Ganyu, most of them they were dwarfs. They are dwarfs, because they wouldn't have grown by now. It's been a long time. I've not seen them, but they are dwarfs, and then they did a whole lot of movies, and even we had special movies for them too. That they actually was their own movie, and in some other ones they played lead roles or significant archetypes, you know. That's on one part. So I don't think there's any other thing that engage the disabled people than the movie
Industry.
industry. It's just that people might not know, but when you show up, it's the only way. So one of them, Stone, that worked with me from Edo State, eventually got a government appointment in Edo, and it was true movie. He became popular through the movies. Yes. Then coming to gender balance,
Yeah.
is there any other trait again that must have engaged the female gender, like the film industry? I was wondering because they're actually dominating. Even the so-called crew that's behind the camera job that we're doing, most of them are there now. The producers, majority of our women are also producers, except those ones limited by their cultural or religious practices. But outside it, even there in the north, they are the population in guild leadership. Our Nollywood Mugabe, we had Ian who led the CDN Guild for many years, more than 13 or 14 years. Today, now the president of the past president of our peace, a female, the current president of the Nigerian producers, Queen Biggest, that's ambassador, she's also a female.
Well, wouldn't you say that is reflective of because women put in a lot? I mean, as a teacher, I know that if you go to any university campus in Nigeria, the number of females studying
Mhm.
are more than the male.
Well,
So, I mean, even with what you were saying, too, it's still not proportional, is it?
I wouldn't say that because the men too do their best to study and do all of that. But I'm actually thinking it's all about the women being passionate about the entertainment industry. Talk about the awards that we have here. Even the greatest of us amongst us, they're all females. Let me start with the film festivals in Nigeria. African International Film Festival, AFRIF, one of the biggest in Africa, owned by a woman. Chioma Ode. Do we talk about Mo Abudu? Are you getting it? Do we? Where are the late Pisanya Mosigo, the African Movie Academy Awards, owned by a woman? And which other one? Let me start. Even the Netflix film that I was talking about yesterday, Shantytown,
Yeah.
was produced by a female, Chichi Mora. You know, the biggest title. And she's making her money, as in when you hear money, you know. And where are they? There are many. You read up a number of them. They are doing well. Funke Akindele making her money. A whole lot of them there. So they're doing well on their own, and I'm actually thinking it's about their passion. I mean, it's some dimension. I mean, it's happen to be a female. A number of them, they do what they want to do, and they do it at their best. You know, they are more meticulous than us, whether we like it or not. I mean, it's my
Exactly.
agenda. So, and then film requires that kind of, you know, being a bit conservative. You know, the man might be carried away by some extraneous attractions in the you know, let me say, will I say something like that's this word I'm looking for, you know, that goes something outside the real business, you know. But the female, when they come in to do things, they do it with what I was searching for was that the man might just be enjoying the pageantry that goes with filmmaking, but the woman will come in for the real business once she decides to do it. You know, and they do well. They do well. A number of them, yeah. So I'm actually thinking the gender balance is there, both for the female gender and then the people with disabilities.
Yeah. Again, you know, thank you very much. But I think, I I mean, with the statistic you're reeling out, I think so. But in terms of content, because you're talking about the individuals who make it,
Okay,
but in terms of the story, do you think the story,
okay,
because there's a lot of violence in
okay,
movie, women
okay.
are the receiving end.
Oh, now I get
Yeah.
okay. Well, the influence, our influence presently in telling our stories is our culture, our pre-existing culture as it stands today,
Yeah.
not the foreign culture.
Yeah.
One. Then secondly, the stories that people yearn for outside the shores of this country are more like the African spirituality, and we all know that the male gender are higher or greater in partaking in African spirituality. Take for instance, even when you talk about the foreign influence or the things that came across the Mediterranean, if you look at, say, for instance, you want to portray a shrine in Africa and you're having female sitting all over the shrine, it is not our practice. It will not look real. Definitely, the male will dominate. But if you decide to translate a little and say, okay, let me even go to the foreign religion, be it Christianity or Islam, will you use a female to play a priest in the church? or a clergyman in the church. We hear clergyman, we hardly hear clergywoman, you know. Or would you also use a woman, take for instance, what was the other one? Okay, to play an imam or anything in the mosque. So basically, our culture at present is male domineering. Even in politics, I knew in the past it was also like this in the Western world. It was just over time that they came to agree.
This is exactly what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, human beings make culture.
Okay.
Human beings can influence culture. Human beings can change it. And from our discussion, we have spoken a lot about the power of the movie.
Yeah.
And then it's palpable. It's so visible in Nigeria. So that's why I'm thinking you're a script writer, you're a producer. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of the content. I mean, even the skits that are all over the place, women are being commodified. They're being, if you look at it, portrayed as for their body parts, for their what they exhibit. So I was just thinking. I mean, is there? Again, I know it's not something
That
someone
might
can
happen
sit and change, but and I know that there are issues that are important to women that are being taken up too, like fertility issues, for instance.
Okay.
A lot of good things are happening.
Yes.
Generally,
All over, yes.
a lot of good things are happening. But I was just again, thinking that their efforts. I mean, when last did you produce a movie?
Well, I'm, like being a filmmaker, we are constantly making movies. But when you talk about making my own movie,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay, and most times what we look at is return on investment. The last ones I made was the series I made for In Vivo. That was like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I made series, a number of series, but it was commissioned, so I had to give it back to them after the production. Yeah, In Vivo TV.
So,
That was the last.
do you have any project in the works?
The one that I'm doing now, because we have to, like I said, be guaranteed of return on investment. It will solely be for YouTube for now. Then I'm working on something with BOI. If that pulls out through, that's when I'll be thinking of a kind of movie that will stream on the big networks.
All right. Again, thank you very much for your time. I mean, this has been a very, very educative discussion. I've learned so much from you. I mean, the industry, the various challenges faced, and then of course the solution. I very sure that I will. How do you put it? I will Oliver Twist. I think I'll probably come again, some other time.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, especially given the fact that this was the information about the conversation was given to you at a very short notice. I appreciate your kindness and generosity.
Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
Yeah, you're welcome.